when we look at the physical sciences teachers, we are asking for better physical sciences teachers. And I've listed here some of the attributes that I would say should feature amongst good quality physical sciences teachers. And if they were there, I'm further proposing we would see a gradual improvement in the participation rate and the pass rate. The two things interact between the two of them. And so we're saying, let us focus on those teachers and let us try to recruit into physical science teaching ones who have a better understanding, a better conception of what physical science is about. Where do these teachers come from today? I don't want to ask about what it was before. There's all sorts of bad stories. It doesn't matter. The question is, what is happening now and where do we move from here? ITE stands for Initial Teacher Education, and so we are looking in this slide at some aspects of initial teacher education. It is primarily through the Bachelor of Education degree, which of course encompasses all the special subjects that are on offer and includes physical sciences as one of them. It's a 4-year professional degree, and that includes some teaching experience. Many of the people in this room will have had no experience of it because they are not in the business of school education. And I don't have that experience. I am qualified in chemistry and not in education. It is a singular fact that when you look at the entry requirements into this program at a university, certainly at my university, the entry requirements for this 4-year degree are much lower than they are for engineering, or medicine, or even for a BSc. So you start with, shall we say, a bit of a disadvantage if you come to teach in that program. You have to accept that the students coming in are, on average, in the science area, not as well prepared as those who enlist for a Bachelor of Science or indeed engineering or medicine. But it is a 4-year program, and so you assume that over 4 years you could create good quality physical science teachers. I don't believe that we do. I don't believe that we do. And as Jansen again has said, mediocrity has penetrated into higher education. I think we have improvements to make. And so, of course, I'm arguing that if we are producing at the universities, and how can I speak for all the universities? No, it's disgraceful, but I'm just making a generalization. If we're going to make improvements in physical science teaching in the schools, we've got to make improvements at the university. The second aspect of why and how, the curriculum. As it says here, there's a simple basic question, very difficult to answer actually. Who does it serve? Yeah, well, in this audience, maybe, there's a preponderance of people who would say, oh, it serves the engineering profession. or it serves the medical profession. And maybe it does. It's possible, but I don't believe it does. It's described, as it says there by Umalusi, as a traditional and prescriptive, teacher-centered, content-based curriculum. All of those, from the point of view of present-day educators, are damning words. And furthermore, of course, it does not serve those who actually aren't interested in going into those kinds of professions anyway, but they are sufficiently interested in the physical sciences as a kind of intellectual pursuit or as a bit of intellectual equipment that they can take into later life, like science literacy. It doesn't suit them either. It's a very old-style curriculum, and one which is, in my view, unsatisfactory, both from the objective of producing quality physical science matriculants and from the point of view of producing matriculants in greater numbers in the physical sciences. We need to move one way or the other with this curriculum. It does not serve either the quality or the quantity aspects of science education as I see it. And we have to decide, really, what are we going to do about it? We can't just keep running in-service courses and providing distractions by going to science centres and hoping that somehow things will come right by those mechanisms. They won't. And so the curriculum, too, is something that, in my view, deserves debate. And certainly this is one forum in which such debate could be held. Another aspect is a little bit off the direct line of thinking here, but it is appropriate to mention it for reasons that may or may not be obvious to you. We talk about SET, and we talk about MST education, we talk about STEM education, and always this letter T appears somewhere in the acronym. And if you go into the Department of Basic Education and you talk to senior people there, when you say technology, they immediately start to babble about ICT. And then you say, no, I'm talking about technology education. And they say, yes, we have computers, we have, etc. The fact is, it barely exists, as it were, on the radar in that kind of official powerhouse, which is represented by DBE in this connection. But of course it is there. Technology, that is to say, is there. Technology education is there. It's there in the GET band as, firstly, part of natural sciences and technology, and secondly, as a separate subject, technology, in grades 7 to 9. It's usually taught by teachers who actually don't know a great deal about technology, but let's not, go over that sort of ground again. But it's beyond that, where perhaps, one is particularly interested to see what happens. And in fact, the answer is virtually nothing happens. There are these specialized technology subjects, like electrical technology. There are such things. They are courses which are attended by something like 1 or 2% of the total FET learner set. And it's a very small minority of learners who elect to do them. There are very few schools where you can take these subjects. And furthermore, those who do take them children, until very recently, they usually were crippled because they failed physical sciences. And physical sciences was a requirement of all learners taking one of these specialized technology subjects. And so there was an attempt, well, it has been made, to introduce a new curriculum, technical sciences, which was a kind of emasculated physical science curriculum with certain pieces removed. And this technical sciences was then the one that was required if you wanted to do these technology subjects. Now, certainly when I saw the technical sciences thing, you know, I really almost passed out. It really is no good for the purpose it was intended. Really no good at all. And so, in my view, technical sciences perhaps is a prompt to saying, you know, there is a need for something like technical sciences. Maybe there is, but of course not in the way it's currently conceived, is my final point. Okay, so that is a technology education situation as I see it. There is a response officially from the department that has led to a invention, shall we say, of this subject, technical sciences. My appeal would be we need to revisit that very soon and consider where it should be going. Finally, let's come back to the major thrust or theme of my talk. Quality and quantity in STEM education. I think we can all agree we want both of these things. It's not either or. And so although one's tempted to say quality versus quantity, I don't think that's really the right emphasis. We want both. But we have very limited resources, as we know only too well. And one of the things that was prominent in the recommendations of this ministerial task team, which I believe Elspeth will speak about soon, I'm so delighted that she will be able to, we've got to prioritize. We've really got to prioritize. We're spending money and effort on all kinds of peripheral things. And we're too afraid to identify priorities and stick to them. We're distracted in all directions. And of course, you will not miss the point in the quotations that appear in the lower half of this slide. And we know they are almost like self-evident truths. Teachers cannot effectively teach what they do not know themselves. Do we have to say that? But we seem to ignore it and say it can't be solved. We must. No education system can outperform the quality of the teachers. Yeah, sounds very plausible. And then, most recently, this lovely review from University of Stellenbosch, which is quoted, "Weak teacher knowledge creates a low ceiling, which South Africa cannot circumvent." That is the grim truth. We have got to grasp that nettle. If we want quality and quantity in the teaching, we have to have quality and quantity of teachers also. More and better, yes indeed, more, and better. I think in recent years, the emphasis has been on more. That is not good enough. Not by a million miles is it enough. As it says here in initial teacher education, whatever it takes, we must do better. And the universities have very few resources. So we need more resources for this. There is no question in my own mind. It's not because university staff in schools or faculties of education are bad. No, no, no. Don't misunderstand. There aren't sufficient resources, that's what. And above all, that is where resources should be applied. We need to send out MST teachers, and now you see I have opened it, not just science, but I believe it is absolutely equivalent in mathematics. We need to apply ourselves to more and better MST teachers. And I do think this is something which ProSet should debate. How can we achieve that? I think it's also something that NSTF could look at from the point of view of Oscars. We are looking for good quality MST educators. They are the ones who are in effect controlling the tap. Thank you very much.